We all went to Houston. That was the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
time I met her. I had only seen
Daphne's
her.
lovely. She's
Yes,
amazing. Oh, we're
yes,
live. We are good. We're ready to go. We're live. Here we go. Okay. Hey everyone, it's Nick here again. I know you guys saw me an hour ago, but we've got 2 for 1 today. We're jumping on with you guys twice today. We're live. And I'm super excited to be joined today by Ronnae Williams. You got such an amazing surname, okay? Just like us. I'm super excited to have you here. Tell us, Ronnae, about what you do. I know we refer to you as the state lady, but tell everyone a little bit about you and what you specialize in, if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, I am the state lady because I used to be a child care licensing inspector. So I was the person that did the unannounced visits to licensed family daycare homes, group child care homes, and child care learning centers or the commercial preschools. I also did the visits in unlicensed programs. So those programs that people would just have children come to, that
Yeah.
they woke up one day and decided that they wanted to take care of children. I shut those down as well. So I was the state lady for the state of Georgia.
Excellent. We've got someone just come on Facebook saying, yes, she was. I loved her. So I can't see who's written that, but someone already knows who you are, Renee. They know you. So tell us a
Yes.
little bit about some of the challenges that you particularly help solve right now. If you don't, what types of things that people have going on that you come in and help solve?
I try to help people solve the issue in most cases is perspective. A lot of times, just as humans, we feel like, oh, I made a mistake. Why are they dinging me for that? And I allow people to
Mm.
have, well, I try to teach people a way to have a perspective to look at both sides. You may look at it as a small mistake, but at the end of the day, it is a mistake because when you agree to be a child care licensing provider and owner, whatever, you agree to follow the rules. And
Yeah,
so a lot
totally.
of times it's perspective on how to look at what the problem potentially was. Because a lot of cases of citations, either someone has moved from a separate business. So let's just say they were, I don't know, they worked at a car dealership, but they always had a passion for children and they come to a licensed program. Or
Okay.
they were a family daycare provider first and they moved to a center. A lot of times there's different rules. And so allowing people to put on a different hat because you're no longer the teacher, you're no longer the homeowner, you're no longer the car mechanic. You are now an owner, and your perspective has to be on safety, not convenience.
Okay, I love that. So, do you feel off the back of that that a lot of the time it's purely innocent why things happen, or is it a fact of you just feel people try to push boundaries?
It's a
What?
combination.
Okay,
It's a
okay,
combination. Right now, the world is facing a hiring crisis, and it's hard to find teachers. And I think a lot of people are trying to learn shortcuts because they don't really have the capacity to care for children in like not that they don't have they don't have enough staff is basically what I'm saying.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so they're trying to cut some corners or rush a process. When I say rush a process, I mean they're not training their staff. They're so desperate to get someone in their room, they just toss anyone in there and they just make them figure it out. So some of it is, ignorance because that teacher that's in the room, she honestly didn't know that she had too many children. And then in
yeah.
some cases, it is a matter of, I didn't have enough teachers. I keep enrolling children. I knew that room was over ratio, but I need the money. I'm going to continue to enroll. I overcrowded a classroom. It's sometimes it's a little bit of both.
And with the greatest respect, because I have massive admiration for what you guys do in the US, but for those that don't know, in the UK, if that happened with us, oh my gosh, the scenarios with regard to Ofsted, pretty much you can be shut down straight away. And it's I think it's one of those things that I've seen different perspectives. I have been in settings where they are really, really short staffed, like 2 staff and potentially 30 children in some scenarios. And I don't know how people cope with that, but I understand the problems people are going through. So, what would be we're not going to go into too much detail because obviously at the event you're going to be presenting your solutions, what you think people can do. But what would be your number one tip right now that people could take away and at least start to implement off this particular podcast?
Mm, my key phrase is always stay ready. But the only way you can stay ready is if you know the rules. Learn the rules of your state. You don't have to memorize it, but give that rule book a once over. Get
Yeah,
familiar with it. Let some of the things that are going on inside of your book resonate with you. Don't feel like you've been in the business for so long and you know it already, or you a lot of people just feel like they know the rule book. No
yes,
one knows the rule book by heart. No one. Learn the rules based on what's in the book, not your past experiences. That would be my first rule of advice, or not rule, but my first step in advice.
yeah.
Learn the rules. You don't have to memorize them, but understand that some of the rules that are in the book and how they apply to you. So
I love
then you can get ready.
and following on from that, do you then feel that they don't train their team enough on those rules?
Absolutely. I mean, if you don't know something, you can't teach it to someone else. And
Yeah,
that's typically what happens. Say I cite a classroom, or in the past when I would cite a classroom, and then I would bring it to the director. She didn't know. She didn't know that they weren't permitted to do that. In a lot of cases, if the owner is present, it's really a trickle down thing. A lot of times people have these knowledges and they either don't share it or they honestly just don't have the knowledge.
that's interesting. I'm going to share something here, and I've never asked a state person or license or anyone around this question, but here's my scenario. Okay, so one of the things we do a lot with our clients here at Charter Business Growth, we have a lot of clients that will put all the right systems in place. So everything that they train their team on is documented through processes, videos, and the team members actually have to sign off to say that they've read, they've understood those things. In a scenario where a team member says to you, I was never trained on that. I didn't know I was over ratio. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. But the owner's in a position, let's say they're an off-site owner, and they're in a position where they can document that that person has gone through the training,
Mhm.
they've signed and dated it. What's your thoughts or perspectives on that particular scenario?
Honestly, it's, what they say, there's three sides to every story.
Yeah.
A lot of times I know in Georgia we have what is called an orientation checklist. And I have seen teachers, go through the paperwork because, again, as a state person, a lot of times you just get placed places. You
Okay.
could be sitting in the office and then you could see someone else sitting in another office and they're going through their paperwork. And a lot of times they're just
Just
checking it
signing off.
off and then they sign because people are explaining to them this will happen during your orientation. I really
Yeah.
think the only way you could honestly prove it is if they're, and that would be something that I wouldn't go that deep into understanding as a licensing consultant, because at the end of the day, if I saw it and I cited you for it, the citation sticks because it's not HR. Like I'm not HR. So if someone wasn't trained, that's not really my situation to evaluate. But I know in Georgia, and I think Pro Solutions is everywhere, you have to go through the course and then get the certificate. So it's not a matter of just checking it off. You
Yeah.
actually have to complete the actual training, take quizzes throughout, and get the final outcome. So I think one of those scenarios to prevent, I guess, owner, director, teacher conflict
Yeah.
is having something where a process has to be done almost independently or somewhere where it can be measured. So maybe in-person training, everyone was there, so therefore they got the certificate. Boom, they were trained on that because everyone was there. But when you do one-offs like orientation, that's really between the person issuing the orientation and the person receiving the
Yeah. Yeah.
orientation.
Totally.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, you could have missed something, the phone could have rang. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong. But
Yeah.
I as a consultant, I definitely had people say, I didn't know. Diaper changing is typically one of those moments, and hand washing are typically citations where new staff, I can't even say new staff, where people don't realize all the opportunities to one, change a diaper wrong, or two, not
Yeah.
wash your hands enough. So
Yeah.
I see all sides of it, but at the end of the day, someone could have been explained something and maybe not fully understood it. Maybe they didn't get it, but been the cause of a citation. Absolutely. It
Yeah.
could happen.
Yeah. Totally. Love that. So I can see who it is now. It's Kimberly Peaks
Hi,
has
Miss
commented. So it was
Kim.
Kimberly that had made a comment on this. So tell us a little bit about. Obviously, you're going to be speaking at the event. You're going to be speaking on day two. Super excited to have you there. Tell us what you're going to be covering off, and is that because obviously we're going to have people from all different spectrums. We've got people right the way from single sites, home locations, right the way up to the largest childcare providers across the US and Canada come in. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to cover off, and is that going to be relevant to every potential person in the room?
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, compliance is everyone's job. It's not just the owner, it's not just the director, it's not just the teacher. Compliance is everyone's job. So just basically allowing people to have the opportunity to see a perspective and to
Yeah.
be able to walk through the process of getting your licensing visit, whether you're in a room or if you're on the outside waiting for your state person to come out of the classroom or the owner just waiting to hear that final report, just giving people the perspective and the tools to use the perspective, because at the end of the day a lot of times it's a you got to just switch your hat. It's almost, this is a bad example but I'll use it, the moment you become a parent. It's different when you were the kid, and then even as you get older you're like, I
Oh
see why
yeah,
my mom
totally.
said that. I see why, I see why I got in trouble for that. It's the same thing, being able to not take it so personal, put on a different hat and look at it from a licensing standpoint. So just basically getting them to shift their perspective and just giving them some simple tools, because compliance really is simple. It's just doing the right thing, not what you want to do, but the right thing. So getting them on track of having the tools to do the right thing and having the perspective to look at it a different way. We won't say it the right way, but a different way, because licensing is a way of viewing things.
Love that. And what do you mind me asking? What types of questions are you getting asked right now? Do you find it's the same types of questions regardless for how big or how small the center is? What types of things come into you right now?
I feel like lately, especially now that COVID is pretty much over in every state, a lot of people think their state person hates them, or that they're being picked on, or that they're being attacked because they're getting more citations than they did in the last 2 years,
Oh, that's
because you're in a
interesting.
different space.
Mm.
A lot of people were getting virtual visits. A lot of people were dealing with consultants that were scared to get COVID too. So they were in and out. So many different variables. But now that we're back in person, people are getting more citations and they feel like they're being picked on or attacked, because during 2020 till now they were getting perfect visits, and now that they're not getting perfect visits anymore, they feel like it's not fair. And the other thing is just honestly those basic level skills, because we have so many new teachers coming from other industries, retail, food, healthcare. Like people are coming from everywhere trying to work in a childcare program. So a lot of it is just giving them baseline best practice standards to just get them a small foundation to prepare them for being inside the room. Those are my two. What can I do for like a brand new person, and what can I do when my state lady hates me? Those are my
Yeah.
two most popular ones.
I'm just one last one, if you don't mind. I'm pushing you to really help these individuals right now. Tell me, if you don't mind, people obviously get a lot of newbies, new staff coming on. What would be your number one tip to help those companies or owners to onboard the staff, even though they're stretched to capacity right now? Is there any particular advice you would give them?
My opinion, keep them safe. Keep them safe. So by creating routines, having your staff learn basic health and safety, keep them safe. You can work on accreditation, you can work on quality, you can work on all those things later. But everyone's a human. And if they're coming in and they're bombarded with, I gotta be accredited, I have to be quality rated, I have to do all these things, it's hard enough just doing the base level, washing everyone's hands, wiping everyone's faces, knowing where people should lay. Who's allergic to milk? Who has, like, it's so much that already goes into the basics. Let them get comfortable with the basics. Be there to support them because we've all had first days at a new job. And I think a lot of times we have to remember that same feeling when we were like 15, 16 years old and we started something new. We have people now that are 30 and 40 and they're starting something new. Give them that grace to learn the basics. Don't assume that they should just know hygiene. Don't assume they should just know safety. People came from all different walks of life. My thing, I think, to just kind of get them in the room, get them to stay.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Just keep them
I
safe and
I
then build from there.
I could not agree with you anymore. Like, that I think on our childcare centers, and I think sometimes I've seen it. I'm going to share a quick example. I remember there was a lady, she was a center director, and she spent 8 hours a day training this particular person. And for a start, it was, for 2 weeks, by the way, this was. And for a start, it was insane because it was just overwhelmed. It was just
Yeah.
so much information she gave this individual. No wonder the person left. Like, they left at the end of day 8 because
Oh,
she had just been overloaded. It was like, it was just too much info. And I think one of the biggest lessons I've probably learned in the last 2 years is what you just said. I don't think could resonate even more with me is that basis of just get them to know the basics, because the basics are the things that will let you down when it comes to the inspections.
yeah. Yeah.
And, I think the fact of you trying to get everyone up to this level that you expect, this expectation within this rapidly short period of time, it's just not going to happen.
It's not, it's overload. And they're going to quit
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, all of us got time to learn. Why do they
Yeah.
have to fast track it?
Yeah.
We got experiences and day-to-day encounters to learn. And we all learn with a little bit of book, a little bit of in person, a little bit of hands-on. We all learn when we touch the different ways of learning. We
Yeah.
have to let these people be humans.
So so one of your big points, I guess, right now, from you going into work in the different centers and training different companies, do you feel that new staff are overwhelmed? Do you hear that feedback? Do you get that from people?
Oh, absolutely. Most of my trainings, once I leave, I've honestly, with my calendar, I've added an extra 45 minutes to an hour to the back of them just
Right.
because the amount of questions that I get in the end, because
Yeah.
everyone's not comfortable with raising their hand? And some of the questions, honestly, I've been in the business for so long. I'm like, how do you not know that? But
Yeah.
people are coming from so many different places that
Yes.
they feel overwhelmed and they don't want to ask their boss. They think they're going to get in trouble. And so there are a ton of people that are just like, I don't know. I know one person couldn't understand the hand washing difference between the accreditation program they're working towards and just basic state guidelines.
Yeah.
Th-
So,
They,
so
they were
that,
just confused.
yeah. The point you've just mentioned there, if you don't mind me touching on, for everyone that's watching, by the way, two key points here. Number one, don't forget to put I know we're only 2 weeks away now from CBG Live, but don't forget to put your name and tell us where you're joining us from, because you can still win a free ticket to join us. Okay. We are literally got 3 or 4 tickets left that we are giving away as part of this mini build up
Nice.
series. So don't forget to put your name in. Let us know exactly where you're from. Don't just put hi. Put your name in. Let us know where you joined us from, and we will reach out to you for a chance to win. Even if you're watching the replay, people keep telling me, "Oh, I missed the live," but don't worry, you can still do it on the replay too, and we'll pick a winner. And the next big one there, if you don't mind me saying, is I think you hit the nail on the head where you said people are afraid to put their hand up. They're afraid to ask questions because they worry they look silly. And one of the big points I want to say here is I can't encourage people enough to take advantage of the round tables at the
Yeah.
event. Now, so Ronnae is going to be at the round tables, or we have all the other coaches and speakers at the round tables. And I said this earlier while I was talking to Daphne, so I apologize if you heard this before, but I can't say it enough. Write down every single question you have, whether
All of
it's to
them.
do with compliance, whether it's to do with state regulations, whatever it is, okay, across every single aspect. Get a notepad out and have a page dedicated to every single aspect of the business. And just keep the notepad by you for the next 2 weeks and write those notes down. Okay. And I
Do not
didn't,
try to remember. Write it
yeah,
down.
yeah, completely. And I didn't promote this enough last year. I didn't tell people enough about this. And people came to the event and they go, oh my gosh, this is insane. This is such a good event. I'm bringing my team next year. And I said, but did you get all your questions answered? No, no, but I've got all these new ideas I want to do. And I felt frustrated for those people because they came with challenges, and it would have been much better if they, first of all, dealt with all those existing challenges first
Mhm.
and then implemented all these amazing new ideas later on. Just deal with this right now. Just deal with the problems you've got going on. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add to that, Ronnae, because, I don't know if you've ever done an event where you do roundtables like this, but for me, they are so invaluable to get that feedback.
Oh
It
yeah,
just
for sure.
it just takes your business to a whole nother level.
I think my only add-ons would be always remember I am not your state lady. Okay? So I'm not going to come to your building and ding you for anything that you asked. I am here to help. And anyone that has ever had me as a consultant, I answered questions. Now during the inspection, some questions I couldn't take away because you did it wrong and I was there, but I like to answer questions. They help prevent mistakes. And then the other question is, don't be ashamed to ask your question, because I assure you, the person to the left or right of you either has the same question, had the same question, or probably was previously cited for that same
Yeah, yeah,
situation.
totally. Yeah.
There is no such thing as a dumb question in childcare, because if you're thinking it, someone else thought it too. So remember, I'm not your stay lady. I am not going to cite you. I'm not going to call in and get you a visit pop up. I'm not doing that. And don't think your question is stupid. As he said, write them all down and bring them all to the round table, and we will get through them, because everyone had that same question beforehand, or a variation of that question, or was cited for the same thing.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of new.
No, there's no newbies that are come out of it. Yeah, they're all the same. They're all the same. Don't worry, everyone. So I think it'd be interesting, actually. One of the things we try to encourage is a show of hands sometimes at the event, particularly for newer people who've never been before. We just say, hey, who's already been through this? And then everyone's hand goes up and they're like, oh, now I get this. I'm with my crowd. You've been through it. You've been through it. And then the friendships, the relationships start because they all understand they've been through the same challenges and tribulations and everything going on in the business too. So Renee,
Absolutely.
I couldn't thank you enough. I think you've really dialed that in. You've added so much value. I'm very excited for your session on the Sunday. I think you're going to add a huge amount of value to so many people's lives. And do me a favor, just give a shout out in the comments as well. If you're watching this live or you watch the replay, give a big shout out to Ronnae. Just say thank you. And get some of those questions in. So we're prepped, we're ready for the event. Make the most of it. Ronnae, is there any last points you wanted to add? I know it's 2 weeks from now. One for me, I guess I ask everyone, because we're trying to impact as many people's lives. Why should people come along to CBG Live? What's your personal thoughts on why they should come?
You
Besides getting
know,
to speak to you.
we've talked about this offline a couple of times, and I just believe in in-person learning. Like, I just believe so much happens when you're able to hear someone else's question, lean over and talk to the person next to you, see other people's facial responses and reactions. There is so much that happens when we engage and when we network. And I think that when you come to programs that are just specifically for childcare business growth, that embodies the director, the owner, the staff, it's all teamwork, it's all cohesive. So being able to go to a space live and ask questions about everything, you're like, Daphne's gonna be there, Joy's gonna be, like, marketing, curriculum, like insurance, like everything that you could possibly need to function in a space is live. And we've all done, and there's nothing against virtual learning, but there's something about being able to ask a question, hear someone else's question because you were too scared to ask the question, or someone present something that you weren't even thinking about. having access to that type of audience is just key to growing as a whole person and growing as a whole business owner, growing as a teacher, director, whatever, ECE professional. It takes all the components. So coming live, learning from others, that what other ways would you do it?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with more with you. I remember someone last year, they were just about to join a round table, and the person in front of them asked that same question. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I need to jump in on this," and they heard the answer that they wanted. So I think you're right. You lean over, you hear those questions because, as you say, most of us are either going through or have already been through that exact challenge going on in your business, and live is the best way to go. So for those of you who haven't secured your tickets, literally there are 32 left. I generally mean that. There are certain rooms right now that are sold out in the hotel. You cannot get another room. So only the Friday and Saturdays are available. You need to come and join us live. Ronnae, I'm super excited. Can't wait to meet you in person 2 weeks from
Can't wait to
today.
meet you.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great fun. Hopefully, are you coming in for the Friday night party as well? Are you going to be there for that one?
I think so. I
You,
I booked my hotel, and I don't. I think I know I'm coming early enough to do something, and then I know I'm staying long enough to go to Epcot.
oh, there you go.
I
You've
think so.
got it
I know. I
all.
think I did the day before and the day after. So yeah, I think
You've
I
got
leave
it
Monday.
dialed in. You're good. You're going to be there for the Friday. You don't want to miss the Friday night. We've got some exciting things planned for that. So it's going to be cool.
Yes.
Ronnae, I'm super excited for you to join me. I can't wait to see you in 2 weeks. Thank you for giving up your time to be here. And
Thanks for
I'll see
having
you 2 weeks from today.
me. See you in 2 weeks.